Hi everyone, it's William with the Grand Duke Dmitri Diary series, and we're up to 22nd February, and I should say this is the 1915 Diary series if you're joining us for the first time. And our recap for the 21st, we had a fight with Brasova. Who knows what it was about? They really went at it, apparently, in the restaurant at the Astoria Hotel, and then later on that evening, they reconciled, they made up. Dmitri went on to a party hosted by Nikolai Khadotov, a famous actor, a famous Russian actor, and he says he just sat there until 7 a.m. So wasn't really into it. We'll find out more about that. Our cast today, well, we have Khadotov, Dr. Polyakov, and a couple of family members, Ducky and Mikhin. Ducky in person, Mikhin just a passing reference. Okay, so here we go, 22nd February / 7th March. Nevsky 41, minus 12 degrees, overcast and windy. That's the weather report. And here is the text. I woke up around 12 o'clock. After the party at Hadotov's last night, I arrived home only at 7 o'clock in the morning. Overall, it was a bore, but interesting. All the guests were artists. Someone sang, someone played the harp, someone played the piano, others danced, but there were too many people and I didn't know anyone. Polyakov came around 1 o'clock. He says everything's going fine. He wanted to remove the scabs inside my nose, but it was very painful and he didn't end up doing it. I lunched at the club, and there weren't many people there. After lunch, I played billiards. It was fun. I'm doing much better. I stayed until 6 o'clock, then went home and took a nap. Around 9 o'clock, I went to Ducky's. She was in a very good mood. She's leaving for Warsaw tomorrow, taking the train. She made up with Mikhin. I spent the evening at the club. There were lots of people. I didn't play billiards. I just bet. All right. I'm looking forward to the days when we have the more emotionally resonant diary entries instead of just a chronicle, but that's what we've got for the moment. So the party, Dmitri was there about 7 hours. And it's interesting because he didn't leave. He wasn't really engaged, but he stayed. And how does he describe it now? Well, it was a bore, but interesting. That's kind of a contradiction, isn't it? Well, it was a bore. I mean, yeah, I can kind of understand that. It was a bore in the sense that he wasn't one of the people having a great time, having lots of fun, but sitting back and observing these various artists and musicians. That was interesting. So yeah, it makes sense in its own way. Here we return to something that was very clear in the 1906, 1907 diary entries when he was a teenager, and that is that he was shy. Around people he didn't know. He could be quite extroverted, as you know, around people that he felt comfortable with and was familiar with. But around unfamiliar people, he tended to be shy and kind of withdrawn. And so, yeah, that was part of the problem here. Also, he just wasn't in a good mood in general on that particular day. Seems to be better today. But anyway, yeah, okay, he stayed. 7 hours. That baffles me. All right, as a general observation, there were kind of two circles of people, of categories of people that he was spending time with at this particular period of his life, and one were guards officers from his own regiment, but from other regiments as well, and the other category was performers, artists, actors, ballet dancers, singers, musicians. Those were the people that he seems to have been most fascinated by. Okay, so the nose situation, well, I bring it up only because it, I more and more think that this was the source of the blood that Brasova saw in her famous recollection of being somewhere with Dmitri, and Dmitri took out his handkerchief and it had blood on it, and she was alarmed and he just laughed it off. And I think this could quite possibly be the source of that, and people have interpreted that to mean that he had tuberculosis, and I just don't think that's credible. Okay, so then the yacht club. He goes back and forth pretty much all day to and from the yacht club, and he never, well, when he was playing billiards with Sheremetyev, then he mentioned a person by name, but by and large he doesn't. He just tells us if there are lots of people there or not, or only a few, and he's working fairly intently on his billiards game. Although he doesn't play at night, he just places bets. I don't know how large the bets were. At this period in his life, he could afford to bet. Later on, the gambling would become a real problem, and would, cast him into debt and cause lots of guilt on his part. But yeah, right now it's no big deal. And it kind of, the overall picture to me, you can judge for yourselves. But as a man who's kind of lonely. He doesn't want to just be at home, but he's not really connecting people when he goes out either. And lonely and also restless, always on the move, never really spending a day just in one place or two places, but always on the move. He spends about 6 hours, doesn't he, all told, at the yacht club on this particular day. And he kind of just goes home in between these various places that he goes to. Okay, so now we get down to Ducky. Late night visit, 9 o'clock, probably just because he took that long nap. And so he was behind schedule, let us say. Does he just drop by to see her, or is it, had they agreed that they were going to see each other that day? I don't know. It's very interesting. Ducky was 39 that year, I think. Dmitri was 23. He would turn 24 later that year. And, amongst the various members of the imperial family, she seems to be the one who pops up. She seems to be the one that he goes to hang out with a little bit. So I'm very interested in that relationship because, as you know, from later diary volumes beginning in 1921 and going on through the later years, he was very much, she was his in 1921, she was his principal antagonist. She was the one who told him he should be shot. She was the one who was, on behalf of her husband, telling him that he was behaving irresponsibly by allowing himself to be seen as a candidate for the throne, and that absolutely came between them. But right now, she seems to have been his buddy, kind of an older woman that he could go and talk to, and that was always so important to Dmitri, to have these older women in his life that he could talk to. He obviously wasn't connecting or confiding to a lot of other people. So, that's speculation on my part, but yeah, I wonder if it had anything to do with her being the sister of Maria of Romania, whom Dmitri would consistently claim to be in love with, or to have been in love with. I don't know. Why is she going to Warsaw? ? I don't know. You may recall this spat that she'd had with Meechan. Meechan had gotten this St. George medal for going to the front, and Ducky was furious about that for some reason, furious with the conceit and the ambition of her mother-in-law, and she complained to Dmitri about it. And now apparently she's in a good mood, and she and her mother-in-law have made up. So that's good. What do we have next time? Well, a day in Gatchina with Brasova and her entourage. So yeah, come back for that, and I'll see you then. Bye.